Welcome to the TAE Aerospace Ipswich Jets after the 80, proudly brought to you with thanks to the Ipswich Jets Leagues Club, the heart of our community and a huge supporter of rugby league in Ipswich, and of course your Jets. Today we review our weekend game for our Hostplus Cup boys versus the PNG Hunters with co-captain Brett Greinke, who also celebrated his 100th Hostplus Cup game during that game. Brett is more than a rugby league player. He's a leader, mentor and proud Indigenous Ipswich local who embodies resilience and humility. With 7 reconstructions behind him and in a recent return to full fitness for the 2025 season, his journey is one of grit and quiet strength. His journey took him through 2 NRL systems before his senior debut through the Devils and then through the Brisbane Tigers system to land at the Jets in 2023. Off the field, Brett is a devoted father, a passionate advocate for First Nations education and reconciliation. He's the heart of the Ipswich Jets and respected for who he is as much as how he plays. Jet number 648, Brett Greinke, good evening.
Thanks, Richard.
No worries,
really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
As the intro suggests, your story is one very much worth telling, and so I'm looking forward to chatting to you about that. But I think, of an exciting weekend, an exciting game of football. Let's cover the PNG game first. First of all, how did it feel for you playing such a pivotal role in the game, come away with such a tight win? How was it for you?
Yeah, it was a bit of a storytelling, storybook game in terms of how it all went. We obviously went really well at the start and had some good early tries, and as PNG do, when they get that momentum, they're really hard to stop, and they almost got us at the end. But yeah, just really grateful to get the 2 points going into Easter, and yeah, we're setting a nice foundation for the start of our year.
So let's break the game down. First try, which you helped create, you crashed through the line. You set up the play for some quick hands to go across the line for Johnny Rubin to score a try on the wing. How big a play was that to get it so early? I think we got it within the first 2 minutes of the game. So how important, in your experience, is that to score a try so early in such a big game like the PNG Hunters?
Well, I think the way we did it was really pleasing. We've really, Ty gave us a really simple game plan to execute, one that our halves did a really good job getting us around the park to, and that was very much how we scored our first try, was getting to a certain point on the field, and everyone played their role off the back of that shape, and Jono finished as he always does really well. So I think it was nice to score, but the fact that we did it that way was really affirming that Ty gave us a really good game plan and we executed it really early. So I think that gave us a bit of faith in knowing what we could do.
And then from that, Jules got a try, and the same combination of hands to the right wing got Johnny Rubin over the line with a don't argue on their fullback and made his way across. How does it feel to have such great options and such great confidence in our wingers in 2025?
Our back five are unreal. Like, we've got such X factor across the field, but particularly amongst our back five and our spine as well. As a middle and forwards, I think we just have to worry about laying a platform and getting those certain spots, and we're really confident knowing that our X factor will execute points. And I don't think we're worried about scoring any tries this year. It's just how we build resilience in our defence so that we can be good on both sides of the ball.
Second half, Robbo throws a cutout pass and it gets to Luke Matterford.
Yep.
His first try and his first appearance in a Hostplus Cup jersey this year. Fair to say the Mad Dog brings a certain energy to the side, and that's probably an understatement. How is it playing and training alongside the Mad Dog?
I love the Mad Dog. He's the best. Like, the energy he brings on the field and off the field is amazing, and I really respect the work ethic that he has. He, not only do we train outside of work, but he does extras and goes above and beyond and does a lot that people don't really see, and I was really happy for him to get that opportunity. He took it with both hands. Last year, when he played for us, he finished the year off really well, and I think he made a couple of team of the weeks, and we've had such quality depth come back from the Titans this year that he hadn't had an opportunity till the weekend, and lucky for him, he was able to get that spot, and he did himself really well. So it's great to see him go over and do his Jet celebration. So really good for him to get the win and get that try as well.
And from viewing the game as we did from the sidelines, one of the things that really stood out was our defence right on the goal line. Our goal line defence, those guys pushing up through and time after time after time, little men are going under, massive men coming forward, but every time we manage to put them on the back or stop them from getting over. When we've now become an 80-minute side. So, as captain, when you're looking at that, how proud are you that again, these guys are throwing literally everything they've got to make sure that, we get over the line?
Yeah, and Hunters aren't an easy, they're not the easiest team to stop in terms of when they've got the momentum. So I think Triggs did a really good job this week with our defensive cues. We really tightened up from our edges, noting that PNG do a lot of drop unders and they really just try and play a power game. So the idea from Triggs to really tighten us up really gave us that foundation to have a good defensive effort. But ultimately, it's about putting your body in front of people and getting your shoulder into blokes. So there's no technique in that, it's just about heart and effort, and I thought the guys showed a really good level of that and a lot of grit. So I was really proud of that defensive effort, and obviously we've got a lot to work off, but I think that was definitely our best defensive game, so really pleased with it.
Now, I don't want to relive the game, but 22-6 up, 20 to go, it then gets to 22-10, 22-14, 22-16, 22-20. Conversion attempts on the sideline, almost at the siren. Could have ended the game level. You're all the captain, you've got the guys in the huddle. What are you saying as PNG prepare for that kick, not knowing whether it's going to go over or not?
Well, I think it's just for us not worrying about it and what our next job is, controlling that next set. We did a really good job. Obviously, they did miss the kick. Big shout out to the dribbler for his great work on the sideline there. But they did ultimately miss, and it was just about what we could control in that moment, which is our next set of defence. And credit to PNG, they don't die wondering. And we knew even at half time, with all the possession we had leading into that half-time break, that we knew there was going to be that momentum shift, and we just had to contain that the best we could. And luckily enough, we could just had enough time on our hands. But they're a really great team, and they're really hard to stop. So really proud of the boys for that effort.
And when that kick did drift to the right and fell away, how did you feel? Knowing that pretty much we had the game covered with 2 points.
Even at that moment, I didn't think we had it, because they're the team that can pull anything out. They remind me a lot of the Jets of old that I used to play against, where it isn't over until the siren sounds. And the fullback like Sonny Wabo and some of the X factor that they have, it really was up to that last play. So getting through that next set was our job, and our boys scrambled hard for the 2 points. So really proud of them.
And just to finish off, Brett, I mean, one of the things you've played in PNG and you regularly get 7,000-8,000 to watch. Amazing atmosphere, win, lose or draw. But one of the noticeable things about yesterday again was the amazing support PNG had in Ipswich. That crowd were as much behind those boys when they were coming home with a wet sail. In the second half. How good is it to feel when you've got an atmosphere like that that's not just about the home side, but the away side bringing that kind of level of support?
Yeah, it was unreal. It was great running out. I could see out to the stands and out to the crowd just how many people were there. And I love having the PNG Hunters in our competition. They're a really strong team which bring a really good fan base, and love playing over there. But equally, it's great to see the support that they get to each one of the games in Australia. So saying that, you could really feel them getting them home, and I wish we could just put the lid on it a bit, but ultimately we got lucky. So
I mean, look, I think, as I said at the start, you're somebody I've got to know over the last 2 or 3 years and done a bit of research, and you've got an amazing story, and I wanted to spend some time talking about that. So let's do it in some kind of chronological order. Some of the viewers won't know that you started out as a Jets ball boy, while your dad Gary coached the Jets in 2001 and 2002. What memories do you have of those days as a 7-year-old, looking at the Jets as they were then, and your old man, and what were your first memories of being around the club?
Well, I used to, with my dad being the coach, I'd get the training just before everyone else. So I remember before training, everyone doing kicking practice, and I would sit under the post and catch the balls. We'd take them back out. I'd always get to play kick tennis, which we'd play at the end of every training session, and boys let me jump in and probably let me get a few guys out of here and then, and made me feel a lot better than I was. But I really loved it, and my time as a young kid at the Jets, and then also I got to play a bit of school footy here. My first grand final for St Peter Claver College, I think we played here at the reserve, and any opportunity I get to play here, I really appreciate. So it just takes me back to those days as a kid.
So you threw the Toyota Cup for the Brisbane Broncos. You debuted in 2015, came with the North Devils, and you had a stacked Falcons forward pack against you.
Yep.
You managed to score a try. What do you remember about that day?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Like the Devils was another club that I was lucky enough for my old man coached and I had a really close connection to. So to play for the Devils, I played my Colts obviously, but at that level, Q Cup was something special. I actually captained the Devils that year in Q Cup, and it was a bit of a challenge being a 20-21-year-old stepping into those shoes and playing against men. I was really lucky. I had Cody Nicarima as my half that day, and yeah, he made me look good like he did all my 20s career and look better than I probably am. And he did all the work and just pretty much got me over the line. And yeah, I just do remember the big Falcons forward pack. We ended up just scraping away with a win, but yeah, it feels like yesterday to be honest. It's crazy to think it was 10 years ago.
And reflecting on your journey since that debut, I mean, how do you think you've evolved as a player and as a person? Like, what has rugby league done for you in your life journey?
Yeah, it's unreal. I don't think I could ever give back what rugby league's given to me in terms of the lessons and just the relationships and the bonds that I've made. And in terms of a footy player, I'd like to think I've developed a bit more of a skill than I had back then. I was a back rower, probably lost a bit of my athleticism, so they pushed me in the middle. In terms of a person, I think I've just been blessed with so many opportunities. A lot of coaches and teammates and mentors have really gifted me some wisdom, and I think I've tried to take as much of that on as possible. So I'd like to think I'm a little bit wiser as well. But yeah, like I said, I don't think I could give back to rugby league what it's given me.
Now, one of those things that rugby league has given you is a lot of injuries over your time.
Yeah.
And it's been well publicised. You've had 7 reconstructions.
Yeah.
Without necessarily going through every one, but can you take us through some of those key injuries you faced, and especially what it physically took to get yourself back in shape, ready for 2025? Because again, there were times probably in there where you didn't think you'd be playing football at all. And here we are, you're co-captain, you're only out for your 100th game, giving an amazing performance. So what are some of those key injuries, and currently what are you going through?
Yeah, so I think well, it really starts back in 2015. That's how long ago this whole injury story starts. But yeah, the first thing was actually I got really sick at the end of 2015 and got an autoimmune disease which put me out for a pre-season and for pretty much the next year. And so it wasn't actually an injury that got me first, it was an illness. But because I was still in the NRL system, I think I had such good support and you're really full-time focusing on getting better. But I think at that age, at 2021, I thought, I've still got such a career ahead of me. This is just a minor hurdle. Little did I know it was going to be a good 5-6 years of treatment to really get on top of that. And then through those times, the double ankles, both my ankles reconstructed, my shoulder twice and my Achilles twice. My first ankle was pretty tough because I had a few surgeries on it, had it fully reconstructed, and then I think Achilles is a big one as well too. I got it done and then had some really big complications with the recovery and had to get it redone. So ultimately that put me out of the game for about 2 years, and then with COVID as well. So I went from being in an NRL system, playing residents, captaining Q Cup level, to learning how to walk again and playing 5-minute stints in the BRL, the 10-minute stints, and that was a real kind of key moment where I could have really thought I couldn't do this because I couldn't run, I couldn't walk, and I really just looked at myself in the mirror and said to myself, how bad do you want this, and is this something that you really want to do? And I think the thing with my career is I've always said the goalposts have changed. It was NRL at one stage and I was so close to getting it, but for me now it's being able to look myself in the mirror and say, you gave it everything you had and you should be proud of that effort. And I think that's what I want to end up with. So I think that second reconstruction took me that Achilles one took me some time to get back, but ultimately it was just a day-by-day process and a step by step. And like I said, I've had really great coaches and especially physios and doctors that have put a lot of time into me. And I'm really grateful for sports science and for strapping tape because I go through a lot of that too. So yeah, I'm really grateful.
And during those setbacks, I'm sure you've had some really dark moments and self-reflection. And there's probably people watching this now that are listening to your story and are in a similar boat, or support somebody that is. What did you do during those tough times to stay grounded, stay focused, stay strong?
Yeah, it was different for different times. So when I was I was full-time NRL the first couple of times when I got really sick and had my first broken ankle. And I think what I did during that time, especially at the Broncos and the Rabbitohs, they were really smart, knowing that being a proud Indigenous man and working in schools, that I needed something outside of footy for that to be my identity, because that being taken away from me at that time, what did I have? So I did a lot of work in different schools and community groups to make sure that cup was being filled, and also to make me realise that it's not the end of the world, and there's bigger things out there. So I think that was a really big thing. And then transitioning back into part-time footy where I worked full-time, it was working in schools as well. So just having something outside of football was really important. And now being a dad as well, just having different elements to my identity and different things of life. When I do get these big serious injuries or these big illnesses, I have a different perspective, and it's probably broadened. So that's the biggest thing. But ultimately, I kind of knew at every big thing's like an Achilles, knowing that it was going to be a year, that time was going to pass. Whether I did the work or not, that time was going to pass, and what position did I want to be in when that year had gone. So I just did things day by day and step by step, and here I am.
As we've, we've had some, great articles written about you, and this week's brought back some memories of greats like Reggie Crisbrook, Greg Inglis, more recently Rich Jacks, someone who you played with at Tigers and presented your 100 jersey to you over the weekend. What are your reflections or memories of those men and their connection to the Jets, or your career and those people that you've been fortunate to be alongside?
Yeah, it's Jacks in particular. I think I met him when he was a teacher and I was his teacher aide, and we've gone and come apart at different times, playing at the Tigers together, and now again at the Jets. And Reece especially is someone who I've really always looked up to. He's an extremely hard worker. You can tell by his fitness, and that you don't just, that's not by accident. And someone I've always respected and always asked for advice, because I really value that. Comes from a really good family. And I was really honoured this year that I got to take the captaincy alongside Blake and Ollie from Jaxie, because they're really big shoes to fill, and it's a big honour to take that from him, because he's definitely someone I respect.
I think he was telling me in the sheds that he's going to go and play a game in Jamaica. So he's certainly gone worldwide with his talent. So coming forward to present day, co-captain of the Jets, how do you foster resilience and a strong team culture, both on and off the field?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I try just to lead by actions, to be honest. I'm not the most skillful player, and I think culture are the standards that you set and what behaviours you choose to accept. So for me, it's modelling those behaviours and also pulling people up in a way that people know what our standards and behaviours are. When I came to the Jets, I wanted to make sure that this wasn't me in my end of stage of career, just hanging up the boots and kind of just getting through things. I wanted to come back here to make this club really, really good, and the club that I know it can be. So in terms of the on-field stuff, it's really just about setting standards and positive behaviours, and then the off-the-field culture stuff. It is really hard, to be honest, when a lot of us work and we do this part-time outside of full-time work. Some of us have families, so it's about trying to find those moments when we can spend together. We did that really well over the pre-season, and we're building a great foundation, considering we have quite a great group of new players. But then I think also the other thing is for our players to understand the identity of Ipswich. I love Ipswich. We've got such an amazing culture and community, and for our players, especially from the Titans and from our Brisbane and Logan and Northside suburbs, to be able to come here and buy into that, that's what makes the group really great. So I'm really liking the way the boys have done that so far.
And from a generational perspective of rugby league players, I mean, what's some of the key differences, or the key difference between the kids of 2025 compared to 2015?
Yeah, I mean, there are some similarities, but the confidence you see with some of these kids is unreal. Like I think of these young fellas that are in our team, especially these young Titans kids that could have played Mount Meninga last year that are in the NRL, and the energy they bring back is amazing. You've got old guys like me and that are maybe a bit more reserved, and then these young guys really push us to with their energy and with their enthusiasm. I really appreciate that. And then same goes with our young guys. We're really lucky to have some young Mount Meninga guys spend some time in the pre-season with us, and they led some really good standards in terms of our training. So I think when you're a younger player, that's really your obligation. You're a bit fitter, you've got a bit more youth on your side, so that's your role, and our young boys have done that well.
So let's go back to your local connection. You grew up in Ipswich. You now lead the team that represents the city. How does that local connection influence the pride and responsibility you bring to the role?
Yeah, I think I just take that as a great responsibility, and it's a privilege. So, as a captain, I'm serving the team and serving the community, and I think when I'm out there, it's just making sure that I'm reminding myself of what an honour that is, and noting that it's a big, serious responsibility, and that I've got a job to do when I'm out there. Like I said, I probably don't like to talk too much, and I leave that up to the halves and the game managers. That they do that really well. But through my actions, I try to model what I want a Jet to be as best as I can. So that connection that I have to this place, I really appreciate.
And then, again, as you touched on before, you're semi-professional, which means that, you're working full-time and then fitting in football somewhere in between. So you've had some, pretty meaningful off-field roles, First Nations Education Officer, National Reconciliation Coordinator. How have these jobs shaped you as a leader and as a person?
I think everything that I've done in terms of work has been service-based. And I think that's the attitude I try and take into football as well. It's trying what I can do for the team and what do I have to offer and how can I add value. And I think particularly in the roles that I've working with young people and families, it's been that mindset as well. How can I create the best environment for people to succeed? And now I've stepped into a bit more of a policy and research, I suppose, type of role. So I'm maybe one step removed from the school setting, and but really it's I've now got a responsibility to my community in other ways, which is about how do I create environments at a different level with a different scope to ensure that people have the best opportunity to have meaningful participation in society. So I think it's really just having that service mindset. It's really working in those fields. I think really helps my footy as well too. And I think as a proud Waka Waka Woolly Woolly man, it's about community first and what you can do to especially for the next generation coming through.
And again, we've touched on it, but how do you juggle those professional commitments outside of the game with the demands of playing, training, captaining the team? What drives your passion in both those areas? How do you draw some kind of level of acceptable time within both and giving your heart and commitment to both those areas of your life?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's probably something I don't have right all the time. Sometimes I bite off a bit more than I can chew, and I chew like crazy. So like I'm about to finish my Masters this year, and then I've just started doing some sessional academic work as well too. And that on top of footy and work and my big priority, which is being a dad and a husband. I think it's really just about being as prepared as possible and knowing now what my boundaries are. Obviously, I probably need to work on my commitments, but I think for me, I'm going to be an old fella soon. I've already got grey hairs, and I want to make sure that I can go as hard and as long as I can for, especially for my people, and so that the young next generation can have a really good opportunity in different spaces as well too. So, I probably don't have all those boundaries right and that balance, but I think I'm pretty good at organising my schedule and prioritising things and making sure I get things done.
And congratulations, on your arrival of your first child. I think 16 months.
Yeah,
old.
thanks, mate.
For you, being a dad now, how has that changed your outlook on life, on sport? I can imagine, you're an amazing dad. I imagine you've got an amazing family. Like, how how has that changed your whole perspective on things?
Probably can't put it into words, to be honest. It's I think your heart grows, your perspective grows, your highs are high, your lows are lower.
Yeah.
You don't sleep anymore. But it's brought a new. The best way I could describe it is probably like, you know, you've been watching TV and then you get high D TV. It's just this different level of clarity and perspective. And I didn't know this type of love before, and I really love being a dad. And my wife's an amazing mum as well too, and I'm really blessed to parent with her. And you know, it's been such a good thing. But yeah, it's been some scary times. I think, you know, with my last illness over the off season there, and yeah, that could have ended really differently. And I think, I make sure that I'd never take a day for granted with her and with my family. So yeah.
Now, just to finish off, you know, as I said, you're a very humble man, but a lot of people speak about you first and foremost as an amazing man, a mentor, amazing father. Even before they mention your playing ability, for those of us lucky enough to be at your jersey presentation, you know, anybody of 50 people there could have said the words they did. But, you know, Trigger said some fantastic, you know, things that close to his heart. You know, Jack said the same, and obviously he said the wonderful words. But, you know, how does that feel to be the fact that there's people that have achieved so much in their lives still have you as their mentor?
I think this whole week has been, when Ty and Triggs really told me the plans and what, you know, how they were going to celebrate this week for me, I was kind of thinking, you know, I don't want it to be bigger than Ben-Hur and this and that. But I think throughout the week, I had so many messages of people, of coaches and teachers, friends and family, and it really, it was really affirming. It was really nice to get those messages, and it made me reflect on all the great people that have been a part of this journey. And like we talk about all my injuries and illnesses and stuff like that. And the big thing I love about footy is the relationships, and this journey to 100 games hasn't just been my journey. It's been a lot of different people that have come and gone at different times and have, you know, ridden the highs and lows of my career. And so I wouldn't really call it pressure in that sense, because I think everybody in our club is that level of leader, and I hold in that high regard. But it probably makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. But in terms of this week, I'm just really grateful that the club did this, and I can't wait to repay the club as best I can, with hopefully some more wins throughout the year.
Well, mate, we're 3 from 4, so I don't think we could have asked for too much better for 2025. But Brett, thank you very much for coming over this evening. It's been great getting to know you a bit more, and thank you for everything you've done for this club.
Thanks, Richard. Really appreciate it, mate. Cheers.
So that's a wrap up of the TAE Aerospace Ipswich Jets after the 80, proudly brought to you with thanks to the Ipswich Jets Leagues Club. A big thanks to Brett, who gave up his time to be here this evening. And with Easter coming up, we will have a break from after the 80 for a couple of weeks, returning to review our winning game, which is away on the 26th of April. So head along there to support your mighty TAE Aerospace Ipswich Jets, and we'll catch you straight after on here. So stay tuned, make sure you like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you next time as we bring you all things Ipswich Jets.